to this demonstration. Shocking news. Donald Trump was almost assassinated. It was an assassinated attempt on the life of former President Donald Trump. Also, shocking details on the suspect. But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everything that you hear in this demonstration is allegedly. Aunt Esther salute. Aunt Esther says, yeah, that was so wicked. Now, in my opinion, and I know we all was raised different. I know we got our own political views, and we got our own perspective on things. So this is just my perspective. Salute positive vibes. Salute 80s, baby. Salute Yaraka. Salute Yaraka. Yaraka says, I think it was fake. Drop a 1 if y'all feel like Yaraka. Drop a 1 if y'all feel like it was fake. Drop a 2 if y'all feel like it was real. In my perspective, I don't think that just because of your religious or just because of your political belief, I don't think that violence should take place. Beverly dropped the 1. Salute, Beverly. Positive says, Shank, why you hiding from us? Because the old man wasn't feeling too well today, positive vibes. And right now, I'm looking rough. And I'm not giving you positive vibes, Miss Jams, Beautiful Nightmare, and the rest of y'all, Miss Parker. I'm not giving y'all Sages. I'm not giving y'all no ammunition. 80s, baby. I'm not giving y'all no ammunition. Miss Jams says, regardless of who you are voting for, this was senseless. I agree. So let's just jump straight into it. We're going to find out new details about the suspect, because at first, and that's why I didn't go live yesterday, because I wanted to wait for a little bit more concrete evidence. At first, they were saying that it was another individual, and they posted a short video clip of him, but now they're coming out with the actual alleged gunman. Sagitt says, I could feel it in your voice, big bruh. Feel well soon. Salute, Sabrina. Salute, Sabrina. So, let's go, y'all. Let's check it out. Details surrounding the suspect that tried to assassinate Donald Trump.
And I'm Tom Yamas on the ground in Butler, Pennsylvania, where a gunman opened fire on former President Donald Trump at a campaign rally just behind me here with thousands in attendance. Last night, the stage of a jubilant rally, now a crime scene, a massive crime scene, and an active crime scene. And the site of the first assassination attempt against an American president in more than 40 years. The horrifying images, former President Trump clutching his ear, you see it right there after shots rang out, ducking for cover behind his podium, the Secret Service forming a human shield around him and rushing him off stage. Trump raising his fist in defiance, telling his supporters to fight as the blood streamed down his face.
The gunman taken down by the Secret Service, the shooting leaving one rally-goer dead, another 2 badly wounded, still hospitalized. President Biden, before the cameras last night, calling the shooting sick, as politicians on both sides of the aisle condemn the violence and support the former president. And this morning, what we're learning about the shooter, Tom.
And And the latest on the investigation, Kate, right, which is now underway, plus the political fallout just hours before the start of the Republican National Convention, an election resting on a razor's edge, and a nation now left reeling. Kate, I want to set the scene for you just behind me. As I mentioned, we were just outside the Trump rally here. This is where it happened last night. Former President Trump speaking underneath that American flag. Just to the right of me here, this barn you see with the door open, that's where law enforcement snipers were. That's where they engaged the alleged assassin. Ultimately, the assassin was killed. He was just, I'd say, a tenth of a mile from where we are. We're going to show you video of that. Up on that roof, we saw investigators this morning, about a half dozen of them. They were up there early in the morning, sort of, looking for evidence, collecting evidence. It seemed like they were moving pieces of machinery as well, and then they eventually came down. But they've been working on this crime scene around the clock, as you can imagine, trying to answer two questions, right? One, why this man wanted to kill former President Trump, what was inside of him, but also, they also want to know how he was able to get so close. And while the identity of that shooter is known this morning, there are still so many questions surrounding exactly how this happened. Overnight, former President Trump walking off his plane hours after surviving this assassination attempt.
They said, take a look at what happened.
Shots ringing out as President Trump ducks down. Secret Service agents rush to his side, forming a protective shield. Other officers in tactical gear, armed with long guns, post up at the front of the stage.
Let's chop it up, y'all. Many want to know, including myself. Many of us want to know, how did he get so close? Do anybody have any answers? How did he get so close? And also, there were witnesses that reported seeing this gunman on the roof, and they were trying to notify Secret Services. They was trying to notify law enforcement. What do y'all think is going on? For those that think it was real, what do y'all think is going on? Do you think that the Secret Services was in on it? What are y'all thoughts? We need to chop it up. Drop a one. Drop a one if you think possibly the Secret Services could have been on it. Because my man was close. He wasn't far away at all. He was close.
Trump's security detail lifting him up from the ground as he raises his fist, his ear and face bloody, gesturing to the crowd. The Secret Service then moving him into an awaiting SUV. Another angle showing Secret Service agents reacting to the shots. The former president posting on his Truth Social account that he, quote, was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong.
And for those, because there is some out there, salute Platinum Taurus, for those that think Donald Trump was behind it, for those that think that this was a play and Donald Trump was behind it, I look at this situation as the Tupac and Suge Knight situation. Y'all remember, for so long, people were trying to say that Suge Knight had Tupac hit. And I felt this way about that situation the same way then, and I still feel that same way today. You're not going to take a chance. I don't care how good a marksman is, a marksman shooter is. I don't care how good a shooter may be. Nobody in their right mind, and I know some of y'all aren't in y'all right minds, so some of y'all will believe that a person will fake themselves getting shot. But any civilized person, I know y'all have a lot to say about Donald Trump, but trust me, he's not going to take a chance of somebody shooting him in the ear. What if the gunman miss? Some of y'all might say, Shank, how do we know that he got shot in the ear? Now, that's a good question. I'll let that question stand. How do we know Donald Trump was hit in the ear? I'll let that stand. But as far as Donald Trump staging this on his own, I doubt that very serious.
In that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. This stunning photo from the New York Times capturing what appears to be a bullet on the right-hand side of the image, whizzing by the former president's ear.
If he had not moved his head at that nick of time, it could have been a lot worse.
Mr. Trump extending his condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured.
The man beside me suffered a gunshot wound to the head, was instantly killed.
President Biden, who learned about the tragic events, condemned the shooting.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this.
This video shows the body of the alleged assassin on the roof of a building, his spot just roughly 150 yards from where Mr. Trump was speaking. One witness telling BBC News he saw the shooter.
We noticed the guy crawling.
And pay attention to this, everybody. This is what I was just mentioning. My man say him and some of his friends saw the shooter. Salute Leslie, salute Amber. I see y'all down there. Pay attention to my man. He said they tried to warn the Secret Services.
Bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him up the stage? Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
Early this morning, the FBI identified the alleged gunman as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20 years old.
So the FBI has identified the gunman as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20 years old, from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania.
Of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. But why he allegedly wanted to kill former President Trump, still unclear. The FBI now leading an investigation involving the Secret Service, ATF, and state and local law enforcement on the ground in Butler, Pennsylvania. The alleged gunman killing one spectator and gravely injuring 2 others.
This evening we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump.
And we have 2 new pieces of information.
And shout out to my man that lost his life. If we could throw some prayer hands up in the chat for the man that lost his life, for him and his family. I mean, he was at a rally. He was, at a Trump rally. I don't think that no one deserves to lose their life. It would be no different if this man was at a Biden rally. It's no different. I don't believe in people should lose their lives over political opinions. Prayers for the man that lost his life in this senseless act.
New pieces of reporting I want to share with our viewers right now. The first being that those 2 victims that were gravely injured in the shooting, we've gotten an update from the medical facility in Pittsburgh where they're being treated. They're still in critical condition this morning, so their situation is still very, very serious. The Secret Service also coming out with a statement. They're saying there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there was an online report that the Trump campaign had asked for additional security, additional Secret Service protection. They were denied. The Secret Service this morning is saying that is absolutely false. They've actually ramped up their protection of former President Trump, and our reporting from NBC News matches that from about a month ago. With that, I do want to bring in a special guest to join our coverage, Richard Goldinger. He's the district attorney for Butler County. And Richard, thank you for joining us. There's a lot of questions out there. When you see everything that's happening behind you, everything that's happened over the last 12 hours, what goes through your head?
honestly, it's shocking. It's shocking that this would have happened. I mean, the last attempt on a president was in 1980, I think, and you know, for it to happen in your own community, you just don't believe it would happen here. So, whatever, everything that's going down right now is really surreal.
You walk around this neighborhood, there are Trump flags, Trump placards, people have the lawn signs for president. This is Trump County,
Yes.
Trump Country, I should say. This is Western PA, right?
Right.
Right on the border of Ohio. Do you think because of that, Secret Service, maybe local law enforcement, didn't take this as seriously as they needed to?
No.
And I'm just going to add on, and I don't want nobody to get offended, but for everyone that always like to talk about black on black crime, you know, for those that feel like, how come black people can't get along? How come black people continue to unalive each other? Well, I got news for you all. In this case, this was a European, a Caucasian man trying to take the life of another Caucasian or European man.
I don't think so. I think they did everything they could. You just can't predict somebody that has, you know, a desire to commit the act that was committed. And they did everything they could. I don't know what happened. I don't know how that gentleman got up on that building like that. But I don't know that. I mean, you can second guess, obviously, all
Right.
day long. But I don't think that there was anything they could have probably done differently because they were prepared.
Even the FBI has said they're surprised about how close this gentleman got. I should say the alleged assassin. It was about 150 yards, 440 feet. It's just down the road from where we are. It is so close when you walk up to it. It's so close. How do you think that happened? I mean, the Secret Service was here. Yes, it was outside the perimeter, but we know that long guns can fire 200 yards.
I think that's the $1 million question. And I don't really know the answer to that. I would have expected that they would have had that building secured. And I know we had people in that building. So how this occurred, the investigation will determine that.
The alleged shooter who was killed, Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20 years old. We know that he was from a community not far from here. What other light can you shed for us about the alleged shooter to our viewers?
So I don't know a whole lot about him. He's off from Butler County. So he would be from south of Pittsburgh. We didn't have any history with him. So
He wasn't somebody who had a criminal record, from what we understand.
correct. That's
So
my
he
understanding.
wasn't on your radar.
No, he was not.
Talk to me about gun laws, what people can expect that is normal behavior here. If somebody is walking armed, if somebody is walking with a rifle, is that normal here, or is it could people be hunting? Your laws, walk our viewers through it.
Well,
We're going to come back, but let's stick with what Sabrina has to say. Sabrina says, and he was a Republican. Platinum says, in this present day, we as black people are very violent to each other. How do y'all feel? How do y'all feel about the alleged shooter being a Republican? Could it be that, as well as a lot of Democrats has lost faith in Joe Biden, could it be that a lot of Republicans has lost faith in Donald Trump? What do y'all think? What are y'all thoughts on that? Geneva says he wasn't a Republican, Sabrina. He posted a video claiming he hates Republicans. How are you Republican but hate Republicans? Makes no sense. That's not true, Geneva. That's not true, because you can be Republican. You can be Republican and hate Republicans. You can be Democrat and hate Democrats. You can be, or you could belong to a certain brotherhood or sisterhood and don't like them. Water Guy says his Instagram said he was anti. Now, when I done some digging, I did find out that he was a Republican. Positive says because the shooter is white, notice the news ain't covering this like crazy. I see that. I see that, Positive Vibes. Do y'all notice the same thing? Antifa.
This is a big hunting county. A lot of people hunt here. I'll bet a lot of people own firearms in this county too. It's a pro-gun county, let's say. To see somebody walking with a rifle, you would probably stop and say, what's this individual up to? So that would be unusual to see, but to see somebody with guns here in Butler County would not be surprising.
One of the rally goers, at least a couple of them, have said that they noticed him bear crawling on the roof. They started alerting police. This is, this looks strange. What is? Do you guys see this guy? Local police started running around. What's your understanding of the police officers that were notified and their sort of TikTok moment by moment what they did?
So I did hear that as well, that people were notifying them about that they observed him on that building, and I know they reacted. Law enforcement did as soon as they could. I mean, I don't think they're going to just take a shot at him, if you know what I mean, because they see him up on a building. So,
Chaotic situation,
yes.
unclear what to do.
Correct.
But in a situation like that, if they saw him on the building, then why didn't they at least investigate it thoroughly? And why didn't they at least make the former president, Donald Trump, step down?
And unusual for this area. If it was local law enforcement that was out there, that would be an unusual situation for them, something they don't see a lot. I'm not talking about obviously an assassination, but I guess an active shooter situation.
Right. Yeah, we don't see that very often here. We do have a team here in Butler County that's trained to handle that stuff, and they work here. They were activated. But we also don't have a foreign president coming into our county on a regular basis. So the whole situation was unusual for Butler County.
Is there anything about the incident so far that you've come across that you can share with our viewers that has surprised you?
Well, quite frankly, I'm surprised he was able to get up on that roof and be able to take a shot.
Right.
I think the investigation determines how that happened.
How did he get on that roof? Ms. James says, Geneva, so you feel the viral video of the guy in his car was the same guy? Sorry to say that's a no, but they did favor each other on the profile pic. Sandra asked the question, were both of his parents therapists?
But that's the most surprising thing to me when we have a former president here, that a guy was able to get, as you say, 150 yards away, able to get up on a roof and be able to take a shot.
Yeah, it was a large weapon.
Yes.
Do you know what that business was, what that facility he was on, the roof, what it was?
Yes, it's industrial, basically. They've been here for a long, long time, so...
An industrial warehouse, if you will.
No, not that.
Company?
They do like glass. They make glass.
Glass?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was the business open at the time? Do you know if people were coming and going, maybe to watch the rally?
I would suspect no. I don't think they're open 7 days a week. I do know we had some law enforcement in that building, which is even more surprising that he was in.
Right. How can you have law enforcement in the building? Geneva says security was just simply complaining that no conspiracy here. We try and make everything a conspiracy these days. So I guess, can we say that security got caught slipping? Because if security was in that building, how was he able to get up on that roof without being detected? Sabrina says he was registered as a Republican. Also, he donated $50 to the Democratic Party. Maybe he fell out of love with his party. And that's impossible. I think that's what happened, Sabrina, because I've heard Democrats say that they're not voting Democrat no more. And I've heard some Republicans say that they're not voting Republican again. So that's a strong possibility, Sabrina. Salute, Miss Groovy. Salute, Miss Groovy.
Want to get up there?
Law enforcement has described this man as a lone wolf. Do you know if leads are being pursued, if anyone helped him, if they're talking to his family, what's happening?
I think that's what the investigation's looking at right now. Was he working alone, or was there somebody else involved?
And then do you know anything about the victims that were shot here? A lot of people who came here yesterday were from this community. One person losing their life, 2 others in critical condition now at the Allegheny Medical Center in Pittsburgh. Anything you know about them or what happened there?
I don't have any further information on their condition at this point. I don't know names specifically at this point. I know, there's a female that was injured, male was killed. I think the other individual injured was a male. So I pray that they survive, and it's unfortunate that we lost a life.
Richard Goldinger, we thank you so much for joining our coverage tonight, and we know it's going to be a busy couple of days and weeks for you and your team.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns was reporting from the rally yesterday. She was just on the other side of those barns you see behind me, watching the president's speech. She has talked about her experience numerous times, but now is the first time I'm getting a chance to talk to her about what she's seen. Dasha, first, good morning. I know you've told the story a couple times now. You sort of set the scene of what you saw. When you were watching it in real time, did you understand, did you register what was happening?
No, I mean, Tom, like so many people that we talked to in the aftermath, initially we thought it was fireworks. The former president's rallies sometimes have pyrotechnics, sometimes smoke, sometimes some sort of fireworks and flares. So that was my initial thinking. I mean, you never jump first to the conclusion that this was an act of political violence, but it was when those pops kept going and the former president stopped talking that it felt like, oh wait, this is not something that was expected. This could potentially be dangerous. So it went from a sort of initial confusion and chaos to a bit of adrenaline and fear starting to settle in. My producer Bianca and I were just coming off of the press risers, walking down the stairs when those initial sounds that are now sort of keep echoing through my mind went off. And we took cover behind some stage equipment, big boxes of stage equipment, once we realized this could be something dangerous. Although, Tom, I'll tell you, even as I was taking cover, I was thinking, this is just a precaution. We're just doing this to be safe. We're going to come up and realize it was fireworks or something not what we ultimately realized was the reality of political violence here.
Josh, I want you to explain to our viewers, if you can. Yeah, I want you to explain to our viewers, if you can, just how close the alleged assassin was, because it shocked me this morning when we came out to the scene, and again, former President Trump was speaking under that American flag. We drove, I'd say, 10 seconds in this direction, 10, 20 seconds in this direction, and there's a road that takes you right to that business we were just talking about, the glass factory, where the alleged assassin got on the roof there. It shocked me how close it was and how easy it was to get there. When you finally learned of where he was and where the president was, did it surprise you?
It did and it didn't, Tom. So here's what I'll tell you. I've been to dozens of Trump rallies, right? The security measures in place are intense. Everyone that goes inside of one of these events, they get screened thoroughly. You go through mags, whether you're a member of the public, a member of the press, or even an elected official. They go through every one of your bags, every small bag. They look through your wallet. I mean, it is a thorough search. The problem is, this was an outdoor venue. He often does rallies in outdoor venues. But once we learned that it was outside of the perimeter, that's when I wasn't surprised. I was surprised when I was thinking, how could somebody possibly get through with all of these levels of security? How could somebody get through? And then thinking about, wait a minute, behind the former president, behind the audience, it was open space. And this is a rural county. There are rolling hills, cows, a lot of open spaces. And so as soon as I realized it was outside of the perimeter, it didn't shock me. Although what was surprising was that area was unprotected. It wasn't searched, wasn't being guarded. That's something that wasn't taken into account. Of course, we'll wait for the investigation to reveal to us why exactly that happened.
Dasha, we are focusing so much on former President Trump, as we should, right? I think it's fair to say he came inches, if not centimeters, to maybe death. Somebody did lose their life here, right? Somebody was killed at a political rally in the United States for simply attending. And then you have 2 others in critical condition. I know you spoke to some people, and you spoke to an eyewitness in general that we saw in my report there, who saw the person next to him die. I can't even imagine what that man went through.
No, so many of the people I talk to are in shock. understandably. They talked also about the children that were at the rally. There are often kids at these events. People bring their whole families to these. The vibe of a Trump rally is often kind of like a concert or a festival. It's not just going to see a politician. It's seeing your friends and family, people in the area. It's going to the tents with the merchandise and swag and buying food. There are food trucks. And so it's kind of a celebratory atmosphere. So people went in with that mood, with that idea in mind. Many people you'll talk to at Trump rallies, Tom, as you know, have been to multiple rallies. This is a thing that they do whenever the former president is anywhere near their hometowns. And so to go from that jovial atmosphere, excited to see someone you're planning to vote for, to suddenly witnessing a historic and devastating event. And some of the people I talked to, as you mentioned, were right there. They saw the former president get hit in the ear, but they also saw, one gentleman I spoke to saw a man get killed, dying on impact. Another family I spoke to saw people get injured. They didn't know whether or not they were going to be okay. A mother told me that she knew her son was scared because he grabbed her hand. He hadn't done that since he was a little child. I mean, these are memories that will be seared into people's minds. And of course, so many people thinking about not just the former president, but the families of the man who was killed and those who are currently in critical condition. There is just no way to describe what it's like to so quickly have your entire world change. It's interesting, Tom. Some people I talked to were shocked that this happened, never thought it could happen. Others, though, told me, look, we are living in a polarized time, and every time I go to a political event, I think, would something happen here? Tom?
America, I need to talk to y'all. America, I need to talk to y'all. This time around, I need to talk to white America. Now, you all know I'm quick to talk about black America. I'm quick to call out black people. Well, in this demonstration, I have to call out white America. Salute, Pamela. Hola, Pamela. Hola. Salute, salute. I have to call out white America because it's always a European, it's always a Caucasian that commits these kind of acts. White America, you don't have the right. You don't have the right to try to take the life of no one because of their political views. Black Americans ain't doing this. We just not doing this. We got other stuff to worry about. We got bigger fish to fry. So I'm talking to the white side of the family today. White Americans, we gotta do better. Y'all gotta do better. When you in situations like this, and just because you don't agree with somebody's perspective, you don't agree with somebody's political views, keep it moving. It's okay, keep it moving. Because at the end of the day, that's their perspective on it. It's their opinion. Your ass ain't running for president. I don't see you running for president. So why make an attempt to assassinate someone that is running for president? Let's continue, y'all.
Yeah, Dasha, before you go, we know the former president is in New Jersey. At least that is our latest reporting, we believe. Walk us through what happens next. The Republican National Convention kicks off tomorrow, obviously with added security. What else, does anything else change for the Republican National Convention and or the president's schedule?
Well, the sources we've been talking to say in practice, it's going to move forward as planned, with the exception of security. That is certainly going to change. But in spirit, that is what's going to be very different here. There is no way that this will not be impacting just about every aspect of the messaging, of the tone and tenor and the mood of this convention. This is something that everyone had been anticipating, particularly because we've been awaiting that crucial vice presidential choice from the former president. We're being told that that's also not changing. But again, emotions, security, everything heightened after this unbelievable and still unreal event, Tom.
Dasha Burns for us. Dasha, phenomenal reporting over the last day. We appreciate all of it. I want to send it back to New York and my friend Kate Snow, who's anchoring from there. Kate?
Yeah, Tom, let's bring in NBC News law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter, who's here. He's been talking with law enforcement sources all night long. Tom, I know we just got new information about the kind of weapon that the shooter used. 3 senior law enforcement officials telling NBC News it was a semi-automatic rifle. Talk about the significance of that.
That's right, Kate. So one of the things that's been put out there is that this is an AR-15 style rifle. I think a lot of times people use that as a catch-all for what we are describing it as, based on 3 law enforcement officials we've spoken to, as a semi-automatic rifle. It means that it will chamber the next round automatically, and then it still needs to, the trigger still needs to be pulled in order to fire. So it's not automatic where you just pull the trigger back and round after round comes out. You have to pull the trigger each individual time that you want to fire a round. But it is high powered. It has the capability potentially to cover that distance. It appears to have a longer barrel perhaps than most AR-15s, which would help with that. But bottom line, you're looking at these images, I mean, they're stunning to look at. This individual came exceptionally close to killing the former president of the United States and the Republican nominee in just several days' time. As far as the person who's responsible for this shooting, they've been identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks, born in September of 2003 from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. You know, we've dug through the records in Pennsylvania. They have a rope.
Why aren't they showing his picture? Are y'all paying attention? Or am I the only one? Why aren't they showing the gunman's picture?
Bus court system and website, we find no criminal history, no history of any lawsuits. Sometimes, Kate, you and I have talked about this before on other mass shootings or serious events, certainly not an attempted assassination, but we look at lawsuits to see if somebody has a particular axe to grind against an individual or individuals. We can't see that. As you're looking at on screen, registered according to Pennsylvania records as a registered Republican, but did donate $15 to a pro-democratic cause. So right now, it's very unclear, in the words of one senior law enforcement official, what the motive might be here. For a 20-year-old male in America, this individual has a very small social media footprint, so that's going to make it more difficult. And I think we have to keep an open mind, because that's what law enforcement is doing at this point, as to what the motive might be.
Yeah, and you were telling me, sorry, we were in the hallway talking, you were telling me we've not heard from the family of this person, we've not heard from any friends, we really don't have a lot of information yet.
That's exactly right. The family home is cordoned off by law enforcement. There's a robust law enforcement presence in that neighborhood. You can't even get close to it.
White America, I need y'all to do better. One of y'all own blew a fuse. One of y'all own blew a fuse. Because we know if it was a black man, and yes, we're going to make it about race. Well, at least I'm going to make it about race. Y'all don't have to make it about race, but I am. If it had been a black man, his face, his family would have been posted by now all over the news.
So what the family members might be saying, what they're talking about, we just don't yet know. Have they found any hard drives or journals at home that can help provide them with the motive? You know, Kate, that remains unclear at this hour as well.
We have video this morning, Tom, if people perhaps haven't seen this yet. It does show the body of the possible shooter on the roof of that nearby building we keep talking about. Our video verification team has that building about 300 yards from where Mr. Trump was speaking. Do police have any further idea? We just talked about it with the district attorney. Tom was speaking with the district attorney about this. How on earth a person was able to get to that position?
How on earth was he able to get to that position? Could it had to do with his race? I mean, let's talk now. And any and everybody that's not new to my platform, any and everybody knows I call a spade a spade. I call out a black person quicker than I call out a white person. But when I see something that's wrong, and if they're white, I got to call it out. How was it that he was able to make it up there with law enforcement in the building? Was it because his race? Excuse me, y'all. And if so, I'll say it again. White America, y'all have to do better. We all have to do better.
For this rally?
100% that's already being looked at and something that people are focusing on. When you look at this incident and how close it was, and of course this is a Google Earth.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. 2 reasons why they should have been focused. You know, first of all, I'm sure that AR-15 assault rifle, I'm sure he ain't have it in his pants. I'm sure he ain't have it in his backpack. I'm sure that that AR-15 assault rifle stood out regardless of where he was at. I'm sure of that. So what do you mean? Why should he had stood out? Why should they have been watching him? For the simple fact, his ass was up on the roof. That's why they should have zoomed in on him. And not only was his ass up on the roof, there were witnesses. If I'm lying, I'm flying. There were witnesses that saw him up on the roof that was notifying the Secret Services. Am I lying? Yes or no? So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? If you got witnesses, if you got people saying, look up there, look, my man, it's a man up there with an assault rifle. Look. Why wouldn't you zoom in? You can't make this shit up.
Earth image that was taken at a moment in time, so we don't see the infrastructure for the Trump rally, the stands, what the Secret Service has set up. They do set up a perimeter. You have to go through magnetometers or be wanded.
I see you, my boo. Salute, my boo. Appreciate you for pulling up. Salute, my boo. And this is one of those cases when you have to ask yourself, like, go back to, I forgot the 17-year-old white boy that was out there. Was it in Minnesota? And remember, the 17-year-old white boy walked down the street. He walked right past law enforcement, and he had the assault rifle. He had the assault rifle wrapped around his neck. Law enforcement didn't do nothing. And this is why there is still a big race problem in this country. Sure, there are a lot of white people. And shout out to all the white people that's trying to end racism. Shout out to all white people. But there are still a few that is holding on to this racist system.
Make sure you're not bringing a gun into any particular rally. This goes for Trump or Biden or anybody else. They receives this level of protection. But to your point, this individual almost directly off to the right of where Trump was speaking, and you're looking at law enforcement who's been up on that the roof of that building this morning. That's going to be an enormous question as to how this person wasn't seen, but also, as I've seen, and I know, Kate, you've covered a number of these high-profile political events as well. You know, normally you would see some sort of uniformed police presence. So the Secret Service can't be everywhere. They have a limited amount of agents. They have to focus on.
Now answer the question. Why? And keep in mind, they got his picture now. They got the suspect picture. Correct? Right or wrong? They got his picture. So why? Maybe y'all could put me up on some game. Maybe y'all could teach the old man something. Why isn't his picture in this photo? You see his name. So we know. Now, I'm originally from Baltimore, Ben. I'm from Baltimore, Ben. Shout out to Baltimore. Shout out to all my people from Baltimore. But we know the FBI, according to the FBI, I don't think they want to glorify him. That could be a possibility. That could be a possibility, water guy. I'll leave that on the table. Okay, you from Baltimore too, water guy? Okay. I'm from Northeast Baltimore, water guy. But maybe that's the case. They don't want to, I guess, promote him. But then you got to look at it. Shit, they putting his name out there. That's a question that we could keep on the table. We could keep that on the table. Maybe they're not showing his picture too tough is because they don't want to, I guess, make him seem like some kind of model or whatever you might call.
The protectee, in this case, Donald Trump. But they do engage with the Pennsylvania State Police, who was definitely there yesterday, local law enforcement. to set up a broader perimeter and to have a uniform presence. And so it's surprising to me, at least based on initial accounts and based on initial video that we've seen, that there didn't appear to be some sort of a uniform presence there who could get on the radio and say, hey, we got a guy climbing up on a roof. Obviously, the counter sniper spotted him at some point. That's why he's deceased. But you're looking there at how close, and you saw the map, and just how close this was.
Well, and Tom, you know, overnight it's gotten a lot of play. There was one eyewitness who spoke out and said, I did see this man. I saw someone with a rifle.
Listen, there's a witness. He's telling them, look, it's a guy up there with a gun. Listen, y'all.
And I tried to flag, he said local law enforcement who were nearby. We don't know.
Correct, Pamela, correct. Kyle Rittenhouse. And y'all remember Kyle Rittenhouse was walking down the street. He walked right in front of the police with a military assault rifle strapped around his neck.
Exactly what that looked like, but is anyone in your world, your sources, anyone saying perhaps there weren't enough personnel on site yesterday?
I think nobody wants to jump to those type of conclusions until they know precisely what the plan was and what might have happened. But I'll say this: I know that both from the press conference last night involving the FBI, the Pennsylvania State Police, and folks that we've spoken with today, that is something that is absolutely being looked at. What was the plan? Was it the right plan? Clearly not, because for the Secret Service, they have to be right all the time. The person who would want to try to commit an attempted assassination only has to be right once. And so for them, they have to go back and look at this. And obviously, I mean, we've been talking about this campaign for so long between Trump and Biden, and we know what the discussion has been for the last several weeks in this country about the current president and what might happen with him in this race. And we know that Trump obviously has the RNC starting this week. These two are going to have to traverse the country, or whoever is going to be the Democratic nominee is going to have to traverse the country, campaign, talk to people, be out there and engaged with the public in a scenario where you've just had an attempted assassination of one of the candidates. Yeah. The stakes couldn't be higher for the Secret Service at a time where law enforcement, their numbers and their manpower is down. So there's just challenges abroad here. This has completely changed the game, no doubt about it. And so I think a lot of these outdoor rallies, which are frequently used by candidates across the country, are going to be given a hard examination here going forward.
Yeah, make it a second look now. Tom Winter, I appreciate it so much. Thank you. I'll let you go.
All right, y'all, let's chop it up. Let me see what the chat is saying. Ben Rice says he registered as a Republican 8 weeks after the 2020 election. There are also records of him donating to the DNC. And that's true. I think it was the government. How many of y'all think the government is behind this? Drop a 1 if you think the government is behind this. It reminds me, y'all remember when Obama was in office? Salute, Landon. Landon says, when was this? Y'all remember when Obama was in office? Trailer Trash Barbie, I see the ones. Water Guy Pamela. They couldn't get him in jail. Why else would they set this up like it was something to try and fool the people? That's a good point. But y'all remember when Obama was in office, right? And remember, people was making it into the White House. They was jumping over the gate. Who was it? The Secret Services was off tricking with the prostitutes. That was a warning. GJ says that was a warning. Ms. Jan says there is one video was calling out this boy's name when he was on the roof. They knew who he was. Wow. Wow. Red Mama says candidate. Jake says complete JFK vibes. Was there someone in the grassy knoll though? In Columbia, we dropped someone. So that's my take on it. Like, is it, because we talking about the Secret Services. We talking about the Secret Services. Blaine says, I like how he can't even campaign for stricter gun laws because his followers would freak out. Like when he tried to support vaccines and had to back pedal because the trumpets were sounded off. Yes, someone was deaf in the grassy knoll. I lived there. I was there. Pamela says, wow, Ms. James. But remember, like I said, when Obama was in office, that says a lot. If like when Obama was in office, people was making it over the White House. They was making it inside the White House. Y'all remember? The Secret Services that was on duty was off tricking with the prostitutes. Like, what the hell is going on? So now, and I know that Trump is not the current president. However, Secret Services, they do have a job to perform. And in my opinion, it don't make a difference who they are providing security for. Doing your job is doing your job. Jake says racism out. So that makes me question. I still go back to, how did he make it up on that roof? How did he make it up there? Ben says, to be honest, this says once and for all what Trump's motives are. GJ says, Jake, he was a registered Republican. The suspect was a registered Republican. Now, whether or not he changed his views, we don't know. But he was registered as a Republican. How you know the Secret Services wasn't pimping? James Bond was popular. All right, Jake. Jake on one, y'all. I see you, Jake. Jake on one. Didn't he steal from the communities? Ms. James says, and FBI was there too. Right, Ms. James? So they were there. Law enforcement was there with Obamacare, and I'm a registered Democrat. Let's go back, y'all. My bad.
Back to reporting. I want to continue the conversation, though, with Christopher O'Leary. He's the former director of hostage recovery for the United States government. He's the senior vice president for global operations of the Sufan Group. Good to see you. Thank you for being with us on a difficult morning. Can we start off? I'd like to watch what happened yesterday from beginning to end, and then we can talk about it on the other side.
All right. We're going to watch what happened. Even though we already seen it.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
If you still think that is staged, drop a 1. If you still think that this was staged, drop a 1. I don't think it was staged. Drop a 2 if you think it's real.
What's up?
There's a lot to process there. I wonder, when as you watch that, can you tell us what you see and what jumps out to you?
Well, Kate, there's a couple of things. Number one, I'm not shocked that the event happened. Those of us who study terrorism and political violence somewhat expected some level of violence at some point as we go into this fall or post-election. So,
salute Yvette. Salute Yvette. I don't think it was staged. He wouldn't have went through, like I said once again, he wouldn't have went through taking the chance of somebody shooting him in his ear. A head shot, you don't take a chance. Now, a leg, an arm, not no headshot. You ain't gonna take a shot. You ain't gonna take a chance of nobody hitting you, period. In your elbow and your toe, because we know a smaller bullet can travel and hit a major artery or vein. So you're not gonna play around with someone taking a shot at you. No.
I think the conditions were right for this.
Salute J Dub. Salute J Dub. Salute y'all. Salute Jason's channel. I see y'all.
What happened, when you look at your video on stage, what the Secret Service did reacting was spot on. Everything they've done, and they've been complimented for that. You see their close protection team immediately claps on the president. They keep him behind cover. There's likely a ballistic curtain in front of him. They're assessing him on ground on the extent of the injuries. All the Secret Service agents have medical training for trauma, so they're taking a look at him. You see the counter assault team there.
I don't think that that's staged. I think and I believe that that's real blood. I done seen enough movies where they use fake blood. I done seen people bleeding plenty of times. I've bled plenty of times. So this is not fake, in my opinion. But everybody's perspective is welcome. Everybody's opinion is welcome. If you feel like it was staged, I respect your opinion.
The SWAT team individuals, they take up a position. They're looking for additional threats while the counter sniper team engages and puts down the assassin or attempted assassin. So they've done everything right. The issues about how did you get within 150 yards, that is very concerning. That should never have happened.
Yeah.
My assumption would be that that was left to be covered by state and local law enforcement, and there was a breakdown, and somebody was able to get in there. But everything else the Secret Service did to react to it is spot on. They are the premier organization in the world for protective security operations. They are limited in manpower, though, so they have to rely on state and local law enforcement and other federal agencies to carry out these massive undertakings. And as you're going into the convention in Milwaukee, they have a large majority of their personnel out there as well.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. I was talking about it. I don't know if you heard the conversation prior to you with Tom Winter, our correspondent, about this idea that someone was able to scale and climb onto a roof with a loaded weapon. It's just sort of unfathomable. How does the investigation now, I guess twofold, what are they doing to try to figure out more about who did the suspect, and what are they doing to figure out what went wrong?
Well, so the FBI surged resources up there. So there's 56 field offices in the FBI, Pittsburgh being one of them, but it doesn't have all of the tools and personnel that it needs for such a monumental investigation. So FBI headquarters in Quantico have surged an immense amount of resources up there. That includes a critical incident response group, which will have the behavioral analysis unit in it, the profilers, BAU as we call it, the evidence response teams, the laboratory division for ballistics, for DNA, you name it, for computer forensics. They have every tool up there. So they're doing searches of the crime scene, they're doing searches of the shooter's house, and they're trying to pick apart his life. There's also agents and analysts coming up there. They will interview everybody that he knows. They'll build a pattern of life for how he's conducted himself the last few weeks. And they'll want to find out, is he direct association with anybody? Was he motivated by anybody? Was he directed by anybody? Or has he inspired anybody else? So we want to look at that. Mm-hmm. What is his ideology? Does he have a mental illness and this, just mobilized him towards violence? Or is there something else? Was this actually a deliberate act of political violence and he's part of a group or following a certain ideology like accelerationism or something?
Yeah, we're months away from the election right now. There will be more rallies. There will be more events.
Let's talk about it, y'all. We're months away. We're months away from the election. What are y'all thoughts? Let's stay right there and let's chop it up. What are y'all thoughts? Do you think Trump will gain more votes? Do you think Trump will gain more supporters? What are y'all thoughts? Daniel says Trump says Secret Service. Pass the blade. Water guy says yes. And y'all wonder why. Jason, it's time to question the things. So now things is taking another turn because, like I said, it just depends on how you was raised. It just depends on how you was raised. Most people that don't like Trump, most people that don't support Trump, salute Willie, Dana J and the Dream Team is in the building. Salute Willie. Most people that don't support Trump, most people that don't like him, they still felt bad. You know, I guess that's the compassionate in our hearts, you know, because, I mean, let's just keep it 100. You know, Trump did not deserve to get pow pow. He didn't. He didn't. He didn't. He was up there giving a speech, and I thought that this country was based on freedom of speech. So you just can't attempt to assassinate someone because you might not like them or you might not like their political views. But as I stated, most people that don't like Trump, most people that don't support him, they felt kind of bad. You still have some, I've seen on TikTok, I've seen on Instagram, you still have some that feel like Trump deserved it. They feel like Trump got what he asked for. But for the majority of those that don't like Trump, the majority of those that don't support Trump, they feel bad. Even like with me and Biden, I feel bad for Biden, you know, even though I won't vote for Biden, but I feel bad for him in his health issue. So I dare you to say that it was fake when someone is there. I just can't see it being fake. Daniel says Trump saw the crowds leaving, so he pulled the old, let's get these ratings up stunt. I'm not buying that, Daniel. I'm not buying that. You don't, it's like I said with the Suge Knight and Tupac. You're not taking no chance. And I know there's some people out there that will do that. But that's you. That's you. But the average person, they ain't going to pull off. They're not going to do no stunt like this. I think that if it was a play, I think that if it was set up, Yvette says neither him or vice president tried to help us. And that's, well, okay. I think you're talking about Biden. Okay, Yvette, that's true. Even if it is a play, and if, well, we know somebody's behind it. Eagle West says they not average. Salute, hey, everybody. Salute, Cotan. Salute, Cotan. You know, I just don't see it being on Donald Trump's part. Now, maybe somebody on the Democrat side, the liberal side, the conservative side, I just don't see anyone, especially Trump, trying to run this play. It's a play. It's from the Democrats. Eagle says they was just in jail not a year ago, but they get indicted. Yvette says Trump helped us when he was in chair. I'm with you, Yvette. I'm with you. And I got called a lot of sellouts. I got called a bunch of Uncle Toms and Sambo. But I do feel like Trump helped us.
Maybe not right away, but there will be. How does this change everything for how the Secret Service makes sure both President Trump and President Biden are protected?
So it won't change much, actually. It's unfortunately a wake-up call. Often in failures like this, you double down on what you've been doing. They will do an after action. They'll try to look at their procedures. Obviously, they're going to change things like, a building that had a line of sight 150 yards away. That never should have happened. And I will say the rifle, if it's confirmed, he's carrying an AR-15 style rifle. The range for that is to hit a man-sized target is 500 yards. For even a basically trained individual to carry out a shot from 150 yards is not difficult. And the round itself is traveling about 3,100 feet per second. So by the time he shoots, people aren't hearing that until the bullet's already passed President Trump and the other victims, unfortunately, in the crowd. The Secret Service will look at everything they're doing. They'll bring in additional resources from federal and state agencies. And they'll start looking at the protective intelligence more closely. They have an excellent protective intelligence division that tries to identify any high threat individual before they go to a location. So, are there people who are looking to travel from outside of the area to come to this event? Are there people who are of concern inside? And they work closely with the FBI or Joint Terrorism Task Force to try to identify those people for everywhere they go.
All right, y'all. Eagle West says, was there not 3 victims? I believe it was a man that lost his life, and it was 2 females that were shot. Eagle says, but the main target survived. Definitely sketchy. You got a point, Eagle. I won't say that you don't have a point. You got a point. That's a point. Let's see what else we can find. He gave up 2 voters for this. Feels sorry for Trump. Doesn't know who he can trust. Beverly says, oh, so what happened to JFK? How do y'all feel about Biden's remarks? Do y'all think Biden was sincere? And he did call up Trump. I think Biden was sincere. I think he was sincere. How do y'all feel? Water Guy says yes. Geneva says, I actually do believe Biden. Eagle says he sounds scared as hell. Parker says yes. Dark says nah. Positive says, unfortunately, Biden won't remember any of this later. Wow. Daniel says, Biden probably thinking you had this ish coming, homie. Possibility, Daniel. Yvette says, them rich people ready out Biden and nurse home after other day. Unknown 848 says, yeah. Let's see what else I can find. All right. So the alleged gunman is Thomas Matthew Crook. Salute, Doug. Salute, Doug. Doug says, I really want to understand what is it that Trump did for you. 100% just want to understand. Is it anybody, Yvette C? Is it anybody else? Miss James or anybody else could help Doug understand what Trump has done for us? Miss James says, Doug, I asked the same thing. Pam says, Doug, what was the inflation rate when Trump left office?
President Donald Trump. It's still an active crime scene.
Trump said he was shot by a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. On his Truth social media platform, he wrote, quote, I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. A New York Times photographer captured this image of what appears to show a bullet racing by the former president's head. The FBI identified.
Did y'all see the bullet?
Platform. quote, I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound.
Salute, Mel.
Shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. A New York Times.
Salute, Mel. So this is the alleged bullet. Do y'all see it? Do y'all see it? That's the alleged bullet. That's the alleged bullet.
Photographer captured this image of what appears to show a bullet racing by the former president's head. The FBI identified the gunman as 20-year-old Thomas
That's the alleged gunman. I was looking for a picture. So that's the alleged gunman, Thomas Matthew Crook of Butler, Pennsylvania. That's the alleged gunman who was unalived by Secret Services.
Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. They say he fired shots from outside the secure cordoned area of the rally atop an elevated structure.
He started shooting. Bow, 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 bow. 4 to 5 shots rang out.
Law enforcement converged on Crooks' family's suburban Pittsburgh home overnight.
They asked us to leave their house. They told us it was a state of emergency. No warning, they just knocked on the door in the middle of the night.
Officials say the gunman fired 6 to 8 rounds from an AR-15 assault rifle before he was shot and killed by a member of the Secret Service counter-assault team. The FBI called it, quote, surprising that he was able to fire at the stage before he was killed.
We do not currently have an identified motive, although our investigators are working tirelessly to attempt to identify what that motive was.
Last night's rally in Pennsylvania was former President Trump's last before the Republican National Convention gets underway here in Milwaukee. Right now, plans are underway to expand the security perimeter around this venue. President Biden spoke with Trump Saturday evening. He condemned the attack.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick.
Trump was treated at a local hospital. He returned to his golf club in New Jersey early this morning.
Well, I'm glad that Trump is doing well. As I stated, and I'll state again, no one should have their life trying to be taken from them just because of their political views or religious views. I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. I want to find, it's something, what's it? I want to come back to the witnesses. I want to come back to the witness, y'all. And I want us to focus on what the witnesses have been saying. They were trying to notify the Secret Services. Why did the Secret Services ignore them? Let's go back to the witness, y'all.
Follow this breaking news at 8 o'clock right here on CBS News Philadelphia. Good morning, everyone. Former President Donald Trump is recovering today after an assassination attempt at a rally near Pittsburgh. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jan Carabeo.
And I'm Howard Monroe. A person in the crowd was killed as bullets flew. The Secret Service says they killed the suspected shooter, a 20-year-old from the Pittsburgh area. You're looking live now at new video just into our newsroom from Bethel Park, which is about an hour away from the shooting scene. The suspect has been identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks. Overnight, police raided his home trying to determine a motive for that shooting.
We're going to have a live report from that scene. We also have our Ross DiMattei, who is live near that rally area
From yesterday, we also have our Marcela Baedo tracking the latest reaction here at home.
Obviously, we have some tragic events that happened, but first, let's go live out to where our coverage starts with Michael Yoshida, who is live in Butler. He's going to take us through exactly what happened. Michael, good morning to you.
This morning, a large law enforcement presence remains here in Butler, Pennsylvania. Just behind me, you can see a road blocked off as a large area remains sealed off following the deadly shooting at former President Donald Trump's rally Saturday night. State and federal investigators are on the scene investigating what the FBI is calling an attempted assassination. Chaos erupting at a campaign rally for former President Donald Trump Saturday evening in Butler, Pennsylvania. Gunshots heard ringing out, the former president dropping to the ground. Moments later, video shows Secret Service agents swarming and lifting up Trump, his face bloodied. Trump then pumping his fist and shouting "fight" to the crowd to show he's okay as he's rushed away. The FBI calling the incident
An assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump.
The Secret Service killing the suspected shooter, who the FBI has identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Law enforcement says he was positioned on a building rooftop just outside the rally. Eyewitnesses describing the scene.
It's very shocking. It's just, I think a lot of people in the crowd just thought it was fireworks going off. I knew immediately it was gunshots.
All we know is shots were fired, and then I jumped over the barrier and put my hand on the guy's head. That was
A Secret Service spokesperson saying this is an active investigation. Early Sunday morning, video posted to X by the Trump campaign showing the former president deplaning in Newark, New Jersey. President Joe Biden did speak with Trump after the shooting, saying he's grateful he's safe, and denounced the violence in Saturday night remarks.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick.
And former President Trump releasing a new statement this morning, just a short time ago, posting on social media, thanking everyone for their thoughts and prayers. Also,
What are y'all thoughts? Salute, Tammy. Salute, Tammy. What are y'all thoughts? Ms. Jam says that lady in the white shirt probably has a good video as she is right behind him, slightly to the right. I'm hoping I don't sound like a jerk. Do y'all think Donald Trump will change? What do y'all think? Do y'all think Donald Trump will change? What are y'all thoughts? Drop a 1 if y'all think this assassination attempt will change Trump. Drop a 2 if you think not.
sending love out to the victims and their families. The president, or former president, saying, "I truly love our country and love you all, and look forward to speaking to our great nation this week from Wisconsin." Of course, that being the Republican National Convention. Live in Butler, Pennsylvania this morning, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Michael, thank you very much.
We are now getting a closer look at the chaos on the ground at that rally as those shots rang out, plus reaction from those in the crowd.
Our Ross Timotei joins us live now from the scene in Butler County, Pennsylvania, with that part of the story. Ross, good morning.
Good morning, Howard and Jan. The Butler Farm Showgrounds, which is the site of former President Trump's rally yesterday, is essentially now a massive crime scene. And when it's all said and done, it'll probably be one of the most scrutinized and analyzed crime scenes in American history, given the fact that former President Trump, there was an assassination attempt on his life here yesterday. I want to give you a sense of what we've been seeing all morning and what we're seeing right now. And I want to thank my photographer, Bill, who shot some cell phone video of the entire scene while I was doing some live reports. We've seen a lot of state police presence here. They're the ones who are maintaining the perimeter around the farm showground so that no media members can get in or out, and that's why we're so far away from where the actual rally took place yesterday. In terms of the FBI, we know that they're the ones now leading this investigation. We haven't personally seen any FBI agents, not that they would want to be seen while they conduct this investigation itself. Meanwhile, we are hearing from some people who were in attendance at that rally yesterday and their firsthand accounts of some of the chaos after the former president was shot, as well as several other people in the crowd.
I heard one pop, and then the second pop, 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 and then there was like four or five that followed that.
I believe we heard 4 shots. It was very confusing because the shots did not sound like they were gunshots. Sounded like they were fireworks.
That is Melissa Schaefer on the phone, an eyewitness who heard the gunshots Saturday night in Butler, Pennsylvania.
So then the chaos ensued and we all got down on the ground, and I could actually hear bullets whizzing by.
Another man in the crowd says he was close enough to see the former president injured.
When former President Trump got up, he had some blood on his face.
Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot, he's been shot.
Jim Sweetland tells CBS News he's an emergency department physician who was also in the crowd and ran over to help a man who had been hurt.
The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here, there was lots of blood. Did a CPR, did chest compression.
You've got a slow drain.
And a slow drain is a clogger.
Wow, y'all. Wow. Wow. Why are they showing two different pictures and not being straight with us? That's crazy. Yeah. Why are they showing us two pictures? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? Why are they showing two separate pictures?
Security will essentially be beefed up for all public figures in the coming days and weeks as a result of this assassination attempt. But right now, guys, the bigger question here in Butler is how? How was this shooter able to get so close to the former president, armed with a rifle, and let off at least 5 shots, one of them hitting the former president without Secret Service even noticing? That will be the big question and the focus of this investigation led by the FBI. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Ross DiMatteo reporting live there from Butler County, Pennsylvania. Ross, thanks so much. Take a look at this map now, just updated and verified by CBS News, showing the suspected shooter's location.
So, I mean, look. That's the shooter's location. That's the stage. Are y'all watching? He wasn't far away, y'all. Location of the suspect's body. The rally stage. He wasn't far.
Compared to the location of the rally stage and where law enforcement snipers were placed.
And our CBS News analysis indicates that there was approximately 400 feet from the roof where the alleged shooter's body was found and the stage where Trump was speaking.
Now, Ross just mentioned this. The big question on the minds of many people this morning, how was this gunman able to get past security and Secret Service?
One man says he saw a person moving from roof to roof and says he tried to warn officers.
I was up at the fence line, saw the guy move from roof to roof, heard that there was somebody that could see the person, so I went back to where they were standing, saw the person, went back and told the officer again that if he goes back to that particular spot, he can see the person, figuring that he would go on radio. And when I turned around to go back to where I was is when the gunshots started, and then it was just chaos.
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here.
Meantime, back here at home in the city of Philadelphia, Mayor Sherrell Parker released a statement on X last night saying, I strongly condemn the violence that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Violence has no place in American politics. And Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro released a statement last night as well. We mourn the loss of life and pray for the 2 victims who are being treated at this time. Reaction from both sides of the political aisle have also been flooding in this morning.
Many expressing shock and relief over the shooting. Our Marcella Vallejo was live in the newsroom with reaction from Republican lawmakers who were at that rally as the chaos broke out. Marcella.
Good morning to you both. We've been hearing from several politicians and candidates as we learn more about what exactly happened at the rally in Butler yesterday. One told CBS News Philadelphia that former President Donald Trump is, quote, lucky to be alive. The GOP nominee for Senate in Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick, says Trump introduced him onto the stage, and just moments later, he heard the sound of gunshots. Pure panic then swept across the crowd. As McCormick tells us, he was sitting in the front row near the former president. Now, he says once those shots rang out, people instantly dropped down to the ground while Secret Service agents surrounded Trump. Now, we spoke on the phone with him just hours after the campaign event.
Was obviously a very frightening moment. It was clear that the president was under attack. Popping sounds is like 7 or 8 shots, and it wasn't clear exactly where they were coming from.
If you're thinking of selling your...
Damn, man. These commercials. See what the chat's saying. I'm just not buying it that it was staged, especially on Trump's part. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that Trump staged this. I'm sure the shooter staged it. Now, the question is, was he acting alone? How many of y'all think the shooter was acting alone? That's a question that we could keep on the table. Was the shooter alone? Did he belong to some kind of malicious group? Or did he act alone? But I just don't think that Trump staged this. I don't think that Trump staged this.
Popping sound is like 7 or 8 shots, and it wasn't clear exactly where they were coming from.
And once McCormick was able to get back on his feet, he says he noticed a man who had appeared to be shot just a few rows away from him. Congressman Mike Kelly, who represents Pennsylvania's 16th district, was also at the rally yesterday. He tells us he was sitting just a few rows away from Trump while his family and his grandchildren were further back in the crowd. Now, he says they are all okay. And Congressman Dan User, who represents part of Berks County, was also there. His staff says he and those he was with are still safe and okay. Now, the congressman posted on X asking people to pray for President Trump following the Butler rally. Live in the newsroom, Marcel Bayeto, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Marcel Bayeto, thank you very much. And our coverage of the assassination attempt on former President Trump continues throughout this hour. At 8:15, we'll take you live to Bedminster Golf Course in New Jersey, where Trump arrived overnight to recover. Then at 8:25, we have a live report from Milwaukee about how the Republican National Convention is now taking precautions after the shooting.
How do y'all feel? Do y'all think that Trump should be somewhere in a secure place? You know, I mean, do y'all think that he should let this bother him? What are y'all thoughts? I mean, right after an assassination attempt on your life takes place, you're out playing golf. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Life goes on, and you can't hide. A week before it happened, Tammy says, read, people, read. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with him going to play golf. How do y'all feel? Doug says, all right, y'all, I have to get. Thank you all for the hospitality. Appreciate you for pulling up, Doug. Appreciate you for pulling up. Let's see. Let me see. Let's see, y'all. Let's see what Black YouTube is saying about Trump. I want to go to some Black experts. Give me a minute. because Dr. Umar doesn't feel like black people should vote for Trump. Do y'all think it's a race thing? Do y'all think just because you're black, you shouldn't vote for Trump? I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know how y'all feel. Just because that would be to say to white people they can't vote for Obama because Obama was black. I don't get caught up in none of that. I think that whoever is suitable to do the job, it don't make a difference what race. I don't buy that. Oh, we black and we can't vote for so and so. Why not? Shit. Why not? I'm not gonna hold y'all that much longer. This cold kicking my ass. All right. Let's get a perspective about Trump from a black man. And y'all let me know what y'all think.
Dr. Umar, welcome back.
Glad to be back.
That serious thing, right? All right, so we're gonna get right into it. What is this big obsession with like this big push of Trump support from black people? What's going on here, fighter?
Couple things. I think the reason why Donald Trump is getting more support from black people, and I would not be surprised if this would be the first election since the 1930s that black people voted more for a Republican than a Democrat. So history might be made in November. History might be made. But don't get it twisted. The black bourgeoisie is on their job and they out there. Yeah, so the black bourgeoisie ain't gonna go easy because they know if Trump wins, they're done. No more contracts, no more set aside. You see what I'm saying? Because remember, the black bourgeoisie is only fighting for their own personal stake. They don't care about black folks. And the Democrats, if you can't deliver the black vote, what good are you? So they are going if they lose. They're not fighting for.
Are y'all in agreement with Dr. Umar? Let me backtrack. Are y'all in agreement with Dr. Umar?
Black bourgeoisie ain't gonna go easy because they know if Trump wins, they're done. No more contracts, no more set aside. You see what I'm saying? Because remember, the black bourgeoisie is only fighting for their own personal stake. They don't care about black folks. And the Democrats, if you can't deliver the black vote, what good are you? So they are going if they lose. They're not fighting for us, they fighting for themselves. Couple reasons why black folks may go Republican in November. Black people may go Republican in November. Number one, I think they're finally getting disenchanted with the Democrats. I think it's finally beginning to seep in. I think a lot of the analyses that are being made by black political thinkers, including myself, I think black people are really starting to see that we've been had. I mean, to have voted this way for 90 years and got nothing out of it, it's time for a change of some sort. That's number one. Number two, I think a lot of black people are attracted to Donald Trump's unapologetic disposition. He's very unapologetic. He don't go off cue cards. Completely different from Barack Obama and Joe Biden. You follow me? For a lot of black people, even though he's a racist, he's a breath of fresh air because he says what he wants to say. The entertainment aspect of Donald Trump is winning blacks. Number three, Donald Trump claims to care about the economic state of black America, which he doesn't. But he's openly saying, I'm going to do something about the economics in the black community. He said that the first term, it ain't do nothing. right? So he's not going to do nothing, but he's speaking directly to Black America where Joe Biden is not. And I think that's why he's going to carry a lot of votes, especially black men. Especially black men, because what is the black man's biggest issue? Earning money. Biden ain't even talking about it, so I do think that Donald Trump, for the first time in almost 100 years, he may carry the black vote. Now, I'm still not voting for neither one of them. And the reason why is they're both racist. Neither one has a track record of helping black folks. Joe Biden got this migrant crisis coming in where he's basically trying to wash out the black with the brown, and they are making headway. To see him take care of people who are not even citizens, while we got homeless blacks, disabled blacks out there, veterans who not get what they're supposed to, I can't support that crap. To watch him take care of the Native Americans and the homosexuals and the Asian hate bill and all this, and billions to Ukraine and billions to Israel, and not do nothing for me, he can't get my vote. But when I look at Trump, I look at the fact that he signed more death warrants, federal death warrants, his last term than any president since slavery. And when I look at the fact that he wants to give the police complete immunity, they're killing us now. Once they get complete immunity, you can't even question what they did. You know how many black folks are going to die on these streets? So for me, I have very strong, compelling reasons to not vote for either, and I don't have a good reason to vote for either. So neither one of them get my vote. I'll probably vote for one of my ancestors or something.
The thing I don't understand with the politics, man, is like, we understand the game, right? But the promises they make, you don't have to have the greatest intellectual capability to understand they can't deliver.
What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts on Dr. Umar? What are y'all thoughts on what y'all just heard from Dr. Umar? Now, this is coming from a black perspective. What are y'all thoughts? Or was y'all paying attention? Was y'all paying attention?
They have the greatest intellectual capability to understand they can't deliver.
Or we're not delivering.
Or we're not delivering. Yes, so that's the whole point I don't understand with this commitment, because I don't understand how people argue, specifically black people. I don't understand how they argue about politics in this modern day of time. As if like this person's actually gonna help you and this other person's actually gonna help you. And like, if we observe what's going on, even what you said with immigration, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be Dr. Doom, but fire look kind of rough for black people moving forward, how the system's set. And I don't see these people doing anything to assist. So we may want to come up with another plan outside of walking behind these people and looking for them to do something.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. The immigrants are here for three main reasons. Number one, to replace us at the polls, even though they're not citizens in many jurisdictions due to election fraud. If you have a work permit, you can damn sure get a voting permit. You follow me? So one of the reasons Joe Biden brought them in here is to aid them at the polls. So they're here to replace us at the polls. They're here to replace us in the labor market. They're going to take all of the low industry jobs. Your Walmart, your McDonald's, your grass cutters, your floor sweepers. They're going to take all that, so there won't be none left for blacks.
They started taking them already.
Yeah. And the third reason, and I hate to say it because I don't want to see this, but this is America. I believe that at some point in the future, I don't know how soon, I don't know how distant, America is going to instigate a racial clash between brown people and black people. If you look at Chicago, the brothers and sisters are already talking about it in Chicago. They say the way where they put these migrants at in our community, you know, they were telling me how some of the Latino gangs are recruiting them, arming them. They're hurting black people. They beat up one black girl really bad, messed the whole eye up. Nobody went to prison. They said if you look at the writing on the wall, they are arming themselves to one day rise up against us. There was something, this white woman did a report on YouTube where she said a whole bus full of migrants came to Chicago and somebody from the army brought bags full of weapons on there. She said she saw it herself. If this doesn't go as quickly as they want it to go in terms of us being replaced by them, they're going to instigate a racial class that will lead to a mass loss of life for black folks. Because the government is going to stand with them against us. You know, we're going to be seen as the perpetrators. So black people need to get armed. We need to get ready. But we also need to admit that part of this is our fault, though. Because we have pushed this multiculturalism, we have preached this black and brown thing so long that, well, since they're always talking about black and brown, send the brown people in there. And that's exactly what they did.
Let me know your thoughts. And I'll see everybody on the next demonstration. I'm going to call my doctor up right now, Tammy. Thanks for the concern. Y'all let me know in the comments section of this demonstration. How do y'all feel? Salute.